Welcome to the webinar, Expert SEO for Large Companies or Little Companies that Think Big. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you'll learn some great insights. I'm Candace Chapman, VP of Marketing for Contentorcom, and with me is Bob Chun, the founder and CEO of Contentorcom. Hi, Bob.
Hi, it's nice to meet everyone.
And our special guest, Andreas Ramos. Hi, Andreas.
Hi, good morning.
So it's a pretty impossible task to sum up Andreas's resume in a few sentences, but I'm going to give it a try. Andreas is an author and SEO expert that's worked in Silicon Valley for SGI, Sun, other leading companies for many years. He's contributed to over 25 startups. He's co-founded 2 digital agencies, was a director at Axiom, a manager of global SEO at Cisco. He's also the analytics strategist for Stanford's MBA school, and he currently manages worldwide digital advertising for MIT, OpenCourseWare, and Harvard Medical School's research hospital. So Andreas has forgotten more about SEO than most people know, and we are very fortunate to have him as a guest. I asked Andreas to come and share some insight into SEO, and as we talked about the topic, we wanted to skip over the stuff that most articles talk about and get into some more in-depth SEO strategies. Not to worry though, as promised, because you're here with us today, I will send you Andreas's 8-page SEO guide, which has all that detail in an easy reference guide. So you're getting the best of both worlds today. If you're watching on a screen, you can submit questions through the chat in the dashboard on the right. Or we'll be watching Twitter, so you can submit questions to @Contentorcom too. Because we want this to be more of a live working session than a presentation, Andreas will be taking questions throughout. So ask away and be part of the conversation. Before I turn it over to Andreas, I just want to share a brief introduction to Contentorcom for those of you who are new around here. So in a nutshell, we are the first and only company that can fill the enormous need for great marketing content with beautiful books like this, which have never been available online before. And we partner with the world's best publishers and use our unique technology to deliver hundreds or even thousands of pages of unique, professionally written and edited content by real authors with real expertise and covering nearly any subject that's important to your customers. We work with you to find just the right content for you and get it on your site quickly. We start building traffic and authority. The content follows your site style and is exclusive to your website. So you get all that SEO juice that Andreas will be talking about today. So come see us at contentorcom.com for more info on how we can help you build your content marketing program. So let's get started with Andreas. While I'm setting you up, Andreas, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing lately? Well, I know you've been traveling a lot, and that's going to continue, right?
Oh, yes, yes. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's Andreas here. Let's see. A week ago, I came back from 3 weeks in China. We went up on the Tibetan Plateau and had a lot of fun there, saw a lot of things. And then next week, today I'm in San Francisco, yesterday I was in San Francisco. Tomorrow, next week, Tuesday, I go to Cartagena in Colombia to speak at a conference for banking on social media and also on the political hacking, using Facebook and Twitter to hack politics. And then after that, I'm speaking in Berkeley at the law school, and a few weeks later at the engineering school. And then in January, I go to Bangalore in India to be a keynote speaker on a conference for innovation and startups.
Wow.
That's my week.
That is a lot. All right, well, we're really glad that you're here. All right, so without any further ado.
Okay, great. Let's start on SEO. The major question is why bother with SEO? There's also digital marketing, placing ads in Google and Facebook, and lots of other things. So really quickly, why SEO? It used to be, long ago, people would go down to page 2 or even page 3 to look at links, and then they only went to the bottom of page 1, and now people look only at the top 3 links on page 1. And this is for desktop search. What you see here is a heat map of where people click on the page. People are clicking basically on only the first 3 links. If you're not in the first 3 links, you don't exist, basically. And what you see here, the bird 3 gets 65% of the clicks, and in reality, number 1 gets 50% of that 65%. Okay, so pretty much you have to be at the very top of the page. And really quickly, if you can't get there with SEO, then you can use digital advertising, namely Google AdWords, and simply pay to be at the top of the page. People don't realize that the first few ads at the top of the page are ads. More than 60, 70% don't realize they're ads. So that works pretty well too. Next page, please. I'm going to talk really quickly about meta tags and so on, some of the basic things in SEO, and then we'll move into the more high level, the more global discussion of SEO. Meta tags are the information that's inside the web page, inside the HTML, that Google picks up and uses to write the title and description, which is what you see in Google. And this is really simple here. There's a lot more detail in the handout, but really basically there's 2 tags that matter. One's the title tag, and the other one's the description tag. The title tag at the very top is quite simply a few keywords, your website name, and maybe your telephone or a call to action. Click here, visit us, buy now. The description tag is longer, and there you can write almost two lines of text about your product and services. The important thing is to include benefits, why they should come to your site. Do not talk about yourself. Don't talk about yourself. We have a big building. Our CEO graduated from Harvard. We have a dog. Nobody cares. What they care about is what matters to themselves. So here is an example of a description tag. San Francisco seafood at its best. Romantic dinners. Whoa, that's what people want. Views of the bay. That sounds really good. Sunset. Where it is. Pier 43, Fisherman's Wharf. Reservation, phone number, call now. Really, the essence in just a few words. What's important, go back to the title tag at the top, 68 characters including spaces. If you go beyond that, Google simply clips it off. More than 68 characters, Google clips off the remainder. The same thing with a description tag, 167 characters including spaces. If it's too long, Google clips it off at the end. Okay? A very important tip at the bottom is look at your competitors. Open up Google, put in your top keywords, and see what your competitors are writing in their tags. And you'll get a good idea of what to write. Next page, please.
So let me ask you a question since we're in this workshop mode. I noticed that on Google, if you don't set your own description, Google will take it from your website for you, and it's not often what you want. So, but that's obviously a lot less work, right? So why is it important to kind of set your own meta description?
That's a good point. If you don't have a title tag or description tag, then very likely, if your website is getting lots of traffic, then Google themselves will go in and write one for you. Either they'll pick it from your website, from your page, or someone in Google will write it for you. And
really?
I do it very quickly. So it's much better if you do it yourself, because you can write the message you want your audience to see.
Yeah, and if you are a big company, you may want to start with the most important pages. You have too much to do.
We just had a real life example of this issue coming up, where we had a customer who hadn't who had not set title tags and didn't set a description, and when we were researching about how Google treats those fields, we found that the title tag is still important. Google still uses that to determine what the page is about, but the description is only an ad, and it's a super important part of your ad. So when your search result comes back, that title description tells the user what the article will be about, and if you write a compelling description, you're more likely to get clicks. So it's not a component of SEO, but a conversion metric or a conversion method.
Exactly. This is the bait that people see on the search engine that gets them to come to your site. They see 10 other sites, 10 other links. You want them to come to your link first.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Andreas. I've moved on now for you.
Here's a good example of people ask me, so how do you see the HTML? And really quickly here, just go to your page or any page, your competitor, for example, point to the page, right-click, and then select View Page Source. You see there at the bottom right, and then the HTML code will appear. So you go next page and see the HTML, and this is what it looks like. I highlighted in yellow the title, description, and the meta keyword tags, okay? And the important one is the title and description. And this is what appears in Google. At the link at Google, Papa Murphy's, Take and Bake Pizza, and so on. And the description is the two-sentence description that comes along. Order Papa Murphy's, right? Okay, last slide, 2 slides ago, I said maximum 68, maximum 167, right? And Papa Murphy's, you guys can already see they're way beyond that. They've written too long. And this is by chance. Last night when I was making this slide, I simply picked Papa Murphy and went there, and great, what you see is that their description tag is actually about 250 characters, which is way too long. And so Google will, somewhere in the middle, just clip that off. And this is a really good point. You guys are going to find out when you look at your competitors and do competitor research, most of your competitors are not doing a good job at this. Either they wrote wrong tags, like Papa Murphy's here did, or wrote nothing at all. For every competitor, for every client I work with, one of the first things we do is competitor research. And generally, 80% of competitors have no SEO. They haven't done anything. This includes major companies, major universities, no SEO. Next slide, please. Any questions?
Not yet.
What's that?
Not yet. Keep going.
Okay. Okay. So I only want to talk about the basics SEO really quickly. And I teach here at INSEAD in San Francisco. It's a French business school. And for the students, I wrote an 8-page summary, just simply step-by-step how to do everything, okay, for SEO. And Candace has a copy. All the seminar attendees will get copies. Okay? So in there, it talks about keyword research, how to find all the keywords for your market. So if you guys are doing SEO for Papa Murphy's, you can look at the competitors and in about an hour find several thousand keywords for the entire pizza market. And they use that, okay? And then the next item is indexation level. You want to know how many pages of your site have been indexed by Google. You have, let's say, 1,000 pages, and you find out Google has indexed only 700 pages. You have a 70% indexation. What you really want is 95% or higher. And there are ways to do that, and the document explains that. And then I give examples of the SEO tags, how to write each one by one, and XML sitemaps as well.
That'll be cool. I'll be sending that to you. Yep.
Can we go back to the previous slide?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not.
Let's go forward. Okay.
My mouse.
So, very good. Big picture. So that's the basics of SEO, the technical stuff. What I'm going to talk about the rest of the seminar is the big picture. What is enterprise SEO? How does it work? What are the real issues when you're dealing with, I'm not kidding, 2 million pages and 5,000 websites, right? This is the reality of enterprise SEO. And so here, for big picture, I found this picture. Actually, I took this picture. This is Horseshoe Bend in Arizona. And if you look way down there, this is a tiny little house down there. This is about 1,000 feet from top to bottom. Next slide, please.
Okay.
The reality of global SEO, enterprise SEO at very large companies is a lot of detail work, a lot of small work. It's pretty much the same tools you use for a small site, Linux and AdWords and so on, webmaster tools, a few more tools, but it's pretty much the same thing. What really matters is the politics of working with these large companies. First of all, there's no way to fix 2 million pages because it's constantly shifting. It could take 6 months to fix everything, and by that time, already within a few weeks, everything shifted again. The pages are constantly changing because we're across so many different countries. And there's simply so much complexity, so many products, so many events, product newsletters, announcements, and so on. So you focus on the important pages, pages that bring revenue, events, upcoming conferences, whatever the CEO is speaking at, product sheets, white papers, and so on. Job openings is very important because that's a great deal, it saves a great deal of money for the company if people apply directly to the company.
Mm.
And SEO should be a major emphasis, but generally at most companies it's not. Even though it can produce anywhere 15, 20, even 30% of your revenues coming from search engines, most of the companies don't do any SEO at all. And I've talked to very large Fortune 50 companies, 50 largest companies in the world. Many of them are doing no global SEO at all. Next slide, please.
Hey, Andreas, do you think it's the problem of eating an elephant? You know how people are afraid to take the first bite because it looks so big?
Oh boy, I'm going to be really blunt here. I'm not working for a large company right now, so they can't fire me. Mostly, it's upper management doesn't understand this. At the C level, at the board level, they don't understand why this is important because those guys are in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and when they were kids, they were nothing like this. So they don't understand it. So they don't think it's important. That's one major issue. Second issue, it's really hard to find people who have both the technical skills, the business skills, and speak 4 or 5 languages. There are very few people like that. That's why it's not being done.
Hmm. And speaking of languages,
what would you do? Yeah.
What's that?
I was just saying that you were talking about languages, which is what your next slide was about, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. Okay. You guys can interrupt all you want. I've been married 3 times. I'm used to being interrupted.
Oh boy. No comment.
Okay. I've worked with most of the major U.S. corporations: Citi, Chase, Wells, United Airlines, Godiva Chocolate, blah blah blah. And at Cisco, I was the head of global SEO for Cisco. We did 84 countries, 44 languages. And the way to deal with something on that scale is you divide the world up in what we call the tier system: Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Tier 1, the major country that produce revenue, got full service. We translated most of the website and most of the effort was there. Tier 2 are smaller countries. They get maybe the first level, the second level, and possibly the third level of the site translated. Tier 3 gets maybe the first, second pages. Tier 4 will get a landing page in their language, in Hausa or Kwasai or whatever, and then it tells them, go to this page, and then they go to a page in English, okay? So you focus on the most important pages and work with that. But see here's a map, a Chinese map, and you'll see the difference between Chinese maps and American maps. Chinese maps put China in the center.
We all think like that, don't we? And just to clarify, that tier listing, that's just for one company. Obviously, the tiers would be different depending on your company and where you're based.
Exactly. It depends on your company and your efforts. Go back to that slide. Yeah, go back to the tier slide. So, I picked up these are not the country that Cisco focuses on. I simply picked a few examples. Okay, this is important for small size. You're doing a startup. You have a small company. You want to grow big. Start planning this. Start thinking about this because right now you're in the U.S. You're in France, but in a year or two you'll be in 3 or 4 countries, and it snowballs very quickly from there. 15, 20, 40 countries, and by the time you get to 40 countries, it's too late to go back and rebuild everything. Start thinking about the future. Think about your company, where you're going to be 3 to 5 years from now.
Good point.
Next slide, please. The same thing with languages. Look at your analytics, and it will tell you what languages your users are using. If you see you're getting lots of traffic in Spanish, then you focus on Spanish. But if you're not getting business in Spanish and the business is coming in French, then you don't focus on Spanish, you focus on French. Focus on the language that matters. And the same thing, analytics will show you what version of language they're using. If a lot of people here in California, they have high school Spanish, they don't realize that there's Spanish in Mexico, there's Spanish in Spain, in Colombia, Argentina, and they're very different. There's lots of slang, there's lots of words, vocabulary is different. The way you say things is different. So you have to look at that. Analytics will show you what version of language they're using, if it's Chinese from Taiwan, Chinese from mainland China, or whatever.
So how does having your pages in different languages help your SEO?
Because someone in China, for example, we were in Western China a few weeks ago, and nobody in Western China, I didn't meet a single foreigner in Western China, none. Very, very few people speak just a little bit of English. If you want to do sales in China, and especially Western China, and you're not in Chinese, then they simply won't see your site. They won't understand your site. And we're in a city like Chengdu, that's 32 million people. It's 4 times the size of Los Angeles. Chongqing is somewhere around 40 to 50 million people. These are gigantic cities with tremendous amount of business activity. And if you're not in Chinese, your website's not in Chinese, you're missing out a tremendous amount of economic activity.
Very cool.
So I'm wondering, the question that comes up for me is if I think, you know, we're talking about breaking the work down of optimizing certain pages based on what's working the best and where you see opportunity, would you also be thinking about content the same way? So you'd be finding pages that are doing well, and you'd expand on those content areas? Exactly.
I didn't cover that in the basics of SEO. Google prefers good content. If you're writing about, for example, dog food, how to feed dogs, then what websites that are selling dog food will not get priority at Google. Google wants to show the website with the best content. If you have really good books and articles about dog food, feeding your pets and so on, taking care of your pets, they get priority at Google. They will show up higher.
So who has 5,000 websites? That sounds a little crazy to me. I can't even manage one.
When I went from working with normal companies to working at Cisco, we were astonished to find out that at Cisco we had a person, his only job was to keep track of all the domain names at Cisco. That's all he did all day long. And I was talking with him and I said, so how many websites are there? He said, around 5,000. I said, what do you mean around 5,000? Do you know exactly or not? He said, we think there may be several thousand more.
Wow.
And this is normal. And I work with Stanford Medical. Not the Stanford, it's just the medical school and the medical research at Stanford, just one faculty within Stanford. We have somewhere around 500 or 600 websites just for medical. For Stanford University altogether, it could possibly anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000, but nobody knows. What happens in medical with the researchers, every time you get a professor and 2 graduate students together and they're working on a project, they'll start another website. So it's so easy. You just hop on the web and create a brand new website and talk about the project. And so these things just propagate like kittens. Yeah?
So I'm curious about this, Andreas, because we run into this all the time where our customers are deciding, do they want to have a separate blog site or do they want it to be incorporated in their main site? If you're in sporting goods and you sell skis and snowboards and kayaks, are you better off having a separate website for each one? or are you better off having them all together? What do you think? I mean, from a search perspective, from an SEO perspective, what's the best?
Ooh, that's two sides of that question. From a business side, it's a lot of complexity. But from a search side, it would be a very good idea. If you're, for example, REI, I'm just using this as an example. If REI, it would be a good idea for REI to create a website for every topic. Snowboards REI, backpacks REI, camping, tents, boots. REI has at least 40 or 50 topics, general areas, and it would be a good idea they create a website for each topic with a complete set of pages, 20 or 30 pages for that topic. That would be a very good thing to do, because then they dominate that space. I go, when I buy a pair of hiking boots, I don't go and search for REI or Nike. I simply search for hiking boots. If I see a hiking boot site at the top, I'm going to go to that. But it creates a lot of complexity.
So in your opinion, would Google, so that domain authority is an important thing, and, right? And so does having 5 different websites that serve snow sports, does that present an advantage to in Google's eyes, or do you think that they would rather see those things separated, separate or together? Where do you put your blog site?
5 different sites on the same topic would not be a good idea. 5 snowboard sites, don't do that. Have 1 snowboard site that is the authoritative site on snowboards. With snowboards, yes, but also FAQs, the history of snowboards, have major snowboard experts be on the site writing articles about the site, for the site. What Google wants to see is, we call it a cup of tea, TEA, trusted, expertise, and authority. Google looks at the 3 criteria to pick the very best websites.
So if you had, let's say, 30 pages on snowboarding on a main site versus 30 pages of snowboarding on a separate site, is your SEO value different?
I would say the separate site we do better because it's focused. It's clearly focused on snowboarding. The main site talks about tents and backpacks and camping equipment and all sorts of other things.
Interesting. Cool.
So you're a proponent of multiple websites for one organization, as long as they're specialized.
Right, but remember, it's a tremendous bureaucratic and it's organizational hassle. It's very difficult to manage all of this.
And to keep it all looking the same.
50 to 100 people, be very careful.
Okay. So I have a question from the last couple slides. Is it Google that the main issue for SEO in China, or do we need to be thinking about?
No, you guys. There's a slide coming up about China. So.
Oh, all right. We'll go. We'll wait for them.
Okay. Something that worked really well at these large companies, we set up a number of times, is we call it SEO help desk, or SEO talk radio. Actually, we internally called it. We get in a conference room. We had a certain time, for example, Tuesday, 10 to 12 California time, and we announced it to the whole corporation worldwide. And then we'd be in that room and on multiple screens, and then people would call in from Russia and Germany and South Africa and Colombia and so on, and this is internally within the company. So they would call in on the corporate network, and we would say, okay, great, you have a new product, a KP47 you want to sell in South Africa. And it's the product manager for that product or the marketing team, and they want to promote their product. They want it to show up better in search engines. So we said, great, show us what you have, show us the page you made, and they would put the web page on the screen, and then we would open it up and look at the HTML. We would look at the web page itself and give them recommendations for headings and content and links and so on. and then open the HTML. The same thing, look at the title tag and the description tag, and help them write better ones on the spot, and do keyword research on the spot. Say, okay, great, here, don't use those keywords, use these keywords. You have too many keywords, your description is too long, cut it down this much. And that worked really well. They got hands-on, on-the-spot reviews of their pages, and they would make the changes, and then we say, okay, great, our next caller is in Russia, and then the same thing over and over again. And we would go through these about 15 to 20 minutes per page, and that worked really well. We did it every week ongoing. And sometimes for the European, for Europe, Russia, you set this up in the morning when they're awake. It's evening for them. And for Asia, it's the reverse. 4 or 5 p.m. for us. They're waking up in China, in Japan, and India.
Now, how could you take this idea, which seems like a really cool thing, and make it work for a small company?
Well, for a small company, I would say that would work for a company. We're talking about maybe 4 or 5 locations, several hundred employees. That would work. At the less than that, if it's a very small company with 50 people or less, and you're in one location, then you could do it in your office at your desk. Let them know, hey, come to my desk, or put your screen, put your page on their screen, and then we work on it.
Yeah.
Again, start this from small company. Start small. Create the idea of doing it, and then grow it. As the company grows, it becomes more and more useful. And companies now, they grow explosively. I work with a bunch of startups here in Silicon Valley, and they go very quickly from 2 or 3 people to several dozen people within 6 months. So you want to have these processes already in place. People know that there's someone there who can help about SEO further down the line.
Great.
Next slide, please. So, what do people see in Denmark or Russia or South Africa or whatever? If you're using your Google on your desk, Google is showing you search results based on your history, on your behavior, on your interests, and so on. For example, if I'm here in San Francisco and I search for pizza, I'm not going to see pizza in Chicago or in Italy. I will see pizza in San Francisco. And that's a big problem. Plus, the search results bubble shows you things about yourself, about what you're doing. You won't see what other people see. So the really best thing to do is to use a VPN. This lets you become anonymous and then jump over to other places. So you can show up in Denmark as a Danish user on a Danish computer, on a Danish Google, and then you see what people are searching for in Denmark. For example, I typed in Traktoren, farm tractors in Danish, and I see search results in Danish for farm tractors. I would not see that if I was using Google in the US. VPNs, virtual private networks, there's a bunch of them on the market. The one I use is Viper. It's by a company called Golden Frog. It's the largest, it's the enterprise version, the most professional one. It's very cheap. It's about $5 a month for 3 accounts, for 3 users simultaneously. And you can get a corporate account. I think it's $300, and then the entire company can use it. It's not just simply for SEO, it's also really useful for yourself, because if it works on your desktop, on your phone, on your laptop, if you're at Starbucks or airport, you have to be really, really careful. We learned this, working with large corporations, we learned it very well. At most airports in the lobby, especially in the business class section, there are people there who are listening to all the connections. So you get to your airport early, and you pop in to check your balance at your bank account. You type in your name, your password, and so on. Someone in the airport is copying all of that, your name, your password, and so on, and your bank account access. So you have to use VPNs whenever you travel outside your company, and especially when you're at your competitors. If you go to a company and you're at the company, very often they're watching what you're doing on the Wi-Fi. So you really should be using VPNs. Here I show an example on the bottom of the screen. Now it shows Viper VPN, and the red button shows me I'm connected to Denmark. So I click on disconnect, and it disconnects me from Denmark. And it shows me the speed. It shows me details about my connection. To the right, it shows me the different countries that are available: United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and so on. And they're sorted by speed. So if I want the fastest connection right now, I can hop over to the UAE and then show up in there. And this is constantly shifting. If you watch over the hour, countries pop up and down, move up and down. Viper has, I think, about 80 or 90 countries available, and in the U.S. also New York, Seattle, Chicago, and so on. So you can hop around the U.S. and see what Google shows in those different cities.
So Andreas, I have a question about this. I think that it's so you're showing how a user could analyze the results of their SEO work from inside of another country. We have a customer of ours who has a bunch of small businesses they serve. They build websites for them. And we are trying to figure out what's the best way to get these. Let's say that they're all landscapers, and they're little tiny businesses that are all over the United States and Canada, and we want each one of these sites to rank in their town for search. Mm-hmm. You would use this tool to see how they're ranking today. What would you do what would be the one tactic you'd use for those landscapers' websites that would help them be found in their local town? What would you do?
Google Maps. Let's say they have a landscaping service in Nashville, Tennessee. That site, they go to Google Maps and register that site at Google Maps with the company name, street address, really important, phone number, hours, and so on. The Google Maps there's a page they can register the company at, the business location at. And here's the second part, really important. Google doesn't tell you this. Google will drive by and take a picture of your business. Google wants to make sure you really have a business there. This is a secret at Google. So you can't register. There's a lot of people who register fake companies. They say they have locations in 500 U.S. cities. They don't really. Google finds out because they register at empty lots or buildings that are obviously occupied by another company. So register the landscaping should register every one of their sites at Google Maps, and then update that. Make sure that system is fully described. I think within a few weeks.
I want to be selfish for just a moment because I'm interested in this topic, and I'm wondering if would you add location information? You were adding a bunch of pages to this landscaper's website who has, maybe they've got 100 customers in this small little town, and we're adding 50 pages to their website, and those pages are syndicated, so they're not exclusive. Would you add the location information to each one of those pages or not? Do you think it would have an impact?
Yes, correct. You add in that page for Nashville, for the landscaping service in Nashville, on the contact page, full information. The name of a person, really important, and then business name, street address, full details, telephone numbers, and so on, and maybe include a link to a Google map. Google looks at those pages. The most important pages on any website are always the front page, the About Us, and the contact page. Almost always those three pages get reviewed. Google looks at the contact page. Real companies have full information on their site. Fake companies or spammers, they don't fill that page out. So just put the information on the page and go to Google Maps and register there.
Very good.
Super interesting.
So somebody asked about China. This is really interesting. My wife is Chinese, and I'm trying to learn Chinese. I have a Chinese tutor every Monday at 4 o'clock in China. And China's a really interesting problem. The luxury consumer market in China is around 300 million people. That's greater than the population of the U.S. You go to these Chinese malls and you see absolutely everything that we have here. So if you're selling products, you really want to be in China. But China's a challenge because the first question is, which China? Chinese language alone, there's mainland Chinese, there's Taiwanese, and so on, and there's also dialects. There's the dialect for Sichuan and Shanghai, and so on. And what I learned, the little Spanish, the little Chinese I know, is Putonghua is the major dialect. I cannot understand Shanghainese. When people in Shanghai speak to me in standard sentence, I cannot understand them. The words are different, the structure is different. It's like the difference between English and Italian. So you have to, if you're going to be in Sichuan, then you need to optimize for Sichuanese. You cannot hire someone from Taiwan to do your Chinese for mainland China. It's almost like hiring a British person, a Brit to do English for the U.S. Different dialect, different sentence structure. Another issue about China, you need to have a license from the government. Like a driver's license, you have to register your website with the Chinese government. If it's not licensed by the government, it cannot show up in China. You need to have a real business address in China, a street address and a name of a person, namely someone who can get arrested. Okay, the Chinese government, the police wants to know who you are, so you need to have a name and a person in China who represents your company. The next item is website hosting. You do the first two, you cannot host your site in the US or somewhere else. It has to be hosted in China as well. Again, the government wants to have the ability to go in and shut your site down if you're not doing something, if you're not compliant.
Wow.
Next item is Baidu. Yeah, comment, Bob. It's not easy. Baidu is the Chinese Google. It's the Google of China. It's the search engine for China. It's huge, and it's all in Chinese. Everything is in Chinese, so and mainland Chinese. So you need to be able to work in Chinese to register your site in Baidu and to work with Baidu. And it works differently from Google because it's based on Chinese characters and the Chinese language, the way the language works. Finally, is WeChat. We don't have that here in the U.S. I use WeChat because of my wife and my Chinese friends, but most people don't use WeChat. It's way beyond Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. It's a complete platform for messaging, communication, but also for stores. Companies in China are selling products. They set up a website in WeChat, a page in WeChat, and it has complete transaction capability. Products, catalog, purchasing, payment, all of that, and it's all done through WeChat. We don't have that here really. So if you're selling products in China, you have products or services, you have to be on WeChat. And the numbers again are astonishing. Anywhere from 200 to 300 million companies are on WeChat in China. Hotels, local markets, really small one-person, two-person shops, they're all on WeChat. So these are all the things you have to do to show up in the Chinese market.
Wow.
Questions about China?
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's a really good opportunity because it's simply so big. Do we skip a slide or?
Yeah,
okay.
I went back.
Okay, fine. A very common question is, can we hire an agency? And I'm talking here primarily about large companies to enterprise level where we are in multiple countries. Can they hire agencies? Cisco and these other large corporations I work with, we were constantly approached by agencies. Will you hire us? Can we work with you? And it comes down to basically it's not possible because it's not just a technical issue. And this is what agencies do. They hire low-level staffers to do edits, to write HTML tags. That's very nice, but that's not really what goes on at these large companies in SEO. Like Yogi Berra used to say, 50% is a game, it's 90% mental. 50% of SEO is 90% politics. It's business strategy. Who do we emphasize, South Africa or Azerbaijan? Where do we put our emphasis, our work? Who do we talk to? Organizational knowledge. You really have to be inside the company and talk to a lot of people to find out who matters. Is it this VP of this division, or a senior director, or a mid-level staffer? Who are the important people you work with? Because when you have 150,000 people in a company, there's no way to talk with all of them. You have to find the internal networks and work with them. And they only work internally. They're not going to collaborate very well with outside agencies. Cross-team collaboration. We're talking with engineers, server people, marketing people, graphics people, the translations people, the ad placement people. Cooperate across all of them, to coordinate with them to get things to happen. And they're not going to do it by the book. If you go in and you submit a request for a change, forget it. It's not going to happen. It'll happen in 3 to 6 months. You have to have personal connection. You call them, hey, Bob, we're making a change. Can you make it live in the next 3 minutes? And then it works. That means a lot of internal communication, constantly talking to people. And with global companies, you're on the air from early morning, 6 and 7 a.m. till late at night, working with Europe, and then North America, South America, and then in the evening, it's China, Japan, India, and so on. So you're constantly moving around the globe, talking to people. Large-scale SEO has to be done in-house. For small companies,
So what?
at the very beginning, go ahead, Candice.
No, that was exactly my question. Was where's the cutoff?
Yeah, for a small company, if you're a few people, you can hire an agency, especially if they work really closely with you and understand what you're doing. They can work with you. But as you grow and get bigger and bigger, you're going to start bringing these teams in-house. Either you hire the agency's people to come and join you, or you find your own people, bring people aboard, and then they work for a while with the agency, but eventually start building their own internal structures. And this starts happening somewhere around the 100 to 200 person level that you start building your own in-house team.
Okay. You ready?
Measuring SEO. There's a lot of discussion that SEO cannot be measured. Not true. It can be measured. It's just a technical issue. It's important to do this for upper management, because they're wondering, why are we, in their words, why are we wasting all this money on you guys? We don't see anything for it. Because they don't see that you're producing 20% of the company's revenues. Some of these large corporations I work with, as much as 40% of the revenue came from search engines. So you need to show that. In your analytics, whether you're using Google Analytics, Omniture or Core Metrics or whatever, Adobe Analytics, any analytic package will show you conversions that happen from search engines, from which keyword from that search engine brought how many conversions and the value of those conversions. You can show that this keyword brought in $200,000 worth of conversions in the last 30 days, then you have a good opportunity, a good chance to get more money for more tools and more staff and more salary. So it's really good for yourself to set up this tracking. Any questions on conversions? It's difficult, especially with the Omniture and Core Metrics. You really have to work closely with the analytics team because there's quite a bit of configuration that goes on. But it can happen. It does happen. And we have set this up for company. At Stanford and Harvard and so on, we have this set up so we can track conversions.
This might be the right time to ask this one question that just came through about SEO for things other than Google, like Bing and YouTube. Do you measure that in the same way? Do you execute it in the same way?
Sure, that's a great question. We work quite a bit with Bing. Bing is an important search engine. It doesn't get much attention, but it is important. You look at your analytics, 15-20% of your traffic in the U.S. is coming from Bing, and that can be significant. In general, what we've learned is if you do a good job in Google, you'll do quite well in Bing. So in the U.S., focus on Google, do really good work for Google, and Bing will take care of itself. Outside the U.S., it's different. It depends on the country. In Russia, they use Yandex, Y-A-N-D-E-X. That's the search engine of Russia. And again, it's in Russian. Everything is in Russian. So to work with it, you have to understand Russian, be able to speak and write Russian, technical Russian. So, and that can be, again, a challenge. But you need, if you want to show up in Russia and all the former Soviet republics, Hungary and Azerbaijan and so on, they tend to use Yandex. For China, like I said, it's Baidu, but that also includes the Chinese in the U.S. Here in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of Chinese here in Silicon Valley. In Palo Alto, it used to be 10% Chinese, now it's 30% Chinese. Cupertino is close to 80% Chinese. There's somewhere around 2 million Chinese in Silicon Valley. And they very often use Baidu as their search engine. So if you want to show up for technology people, for people in Silicon Valley, very often it's Chinese using Baidu. So you should consider that, optimizing for Baidu. In
That's
Europe,
that's a super interesting area. Well, I'm just thinking about that. There are so many areas in our country where English is not the primary language, and those are consumers that businesses want to reach.
it's changing
How do they
so
do
fast
it?
now. It's changing so fast now. I was born in Colombia. I speak Spanish. I came to the U.S. when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, nobody spoke Spanish. We only knew one other family in our city who spoke Spanish. It was just simply something we spoke at home. Now, I live in California. It's the standard language here. If you go to Home Depot, you buy a car, you go to a restaurant, a hotel, almost everything is done in Spanish now. The Spanish
So for companies to win, they have to have a content and optimization strategy to attract these groups. Or maybe a better way to say it is a whole new area of business that's available for companies is to attract non-English speakers in the United States.
Let's say just a company just in the U.S. They're selling only to the U.S. market. They need to look at their analytics and see what language are people using, where they're coming from, what they're interested in. And if you see that significant revenue is being generated from Spanish, then the company really has to consider web pages in Spanish, content in Spanish, maybe even a website in Spanish. For example, the landscaping service, I would guess that for people working with landscaping, the landscapers themselves, here in California, it's easily 80 to 90% Mexicans, Central Americans. And it's almost all done in Spanish. And they're also, landscaping tends to be done on mobile devices. People, you need your yard mowed, a tree fell down, something, you're going to do that on the train, going to work, on your phone, you're going to look for a landscaping service. You're not sitting down on a desktop computer. So you really need to be looking at, be able to show up in your cell phone in Spanish for that particular kind of thing. And that brings us to the next slide, which is really important. This is a super important slide, mobile. It used to be desktop search was really important. You guys can see here at the bottom of the last bullet point, 78% of searches at Google now are done on mobile. And Google is switching over to mobile very fast. Google gives preference to mobile sites. If your website is not optimized for mobile, it goes down the list. Mobile optimized sites get preference. They show up higher, okay? Your site can be better, but if it's not for mobile, it goes down the list. Another issue for mobile, people on mobile device, on their cell phone, when they search, they don't want to see a bunch of links. They're in a car, they're standing in the street corner, they're in a restaurant, and they ask a question. They want to answer right now. So they pick up the phone and they say, okay, Google, hi, Alexa, hi, Bixby, whatever. They talk to the phone and they ask the question and then Google answers. Here, we're standing in France, we're looking at that big thing over there. We say, okay, Google, how tall is the Eiffel Tower? And Google will answer. A Google voice comes back and says, the Eiffel Tower is 1,063 feet tall. Okay? And you look at the result that shows up on the page, what you see on your screen, that's what shows up in the mobile device. You do not see links. They're not websites from other companies. The Eiffel Tower restaurant is not there. All the companies that want to sell services or buy your own Eiffel Tower, they're not showing up. What you see is a page written by Google, show a picture of the Eiffel Tower, the height of the Eiffel Tower, a little map, and a few links from Google. Okay, these are not websites anymore. They're answers. The important thing at the bottom here, at the bottom of the page, these search engines and the voice-powered artificial intelligence systems, including Bixby and Cortana and so on, are turned into answer engines, not search engines. Answer engines. They answer what you ask. Okay. We're
so
moving
how do
away
we
from
fix
links
that?
and websites. That's a challenge. Content would be one way. Really good websites and try to understand what people are looking for. How tall is the Eiffel Tower? There's no business value in that, but what's a good restaurant at the Eiffel Tower? Where's the place I can get lunch near the Eiffel Tower? And then build websites around that. Landscaping for the Eiffel Tower, for example.
So,
and French.
so what do you do for SEO to get found on voice search? What are the tricks? Do you need to put certain text in your pages that answer or that ask that same question, or?
You can find in analytics, you can see those questions. Analytics will show you what are people asking. What are the search queries that they're typing into Google to get to the website? So then you look at those queries and then you write answers for those. So for each query, write a blog posting and answer that question. We're at 9 o'clock now. We really start wrapping up. Any last questions?
Well, I think that I've been kind of peppering them in as we go. So I don't have any outstanding questions. I mean, obviously this is a huge topic that you could talk for days, but it was very interesting to learn about the international aspects of it, the language aspects of it. There is, Google Translate, but that's not, I've learned in past
Oh my God, don't use that.
That is not to be trusted. Right.
Really,
so,
we use it for fun. We type things in to translate and then see what comes out of it. It's just, it's impossible. Candy, can you show the next slide, please?
Okay, let's see.
Great. Here's more resources. Really important. If SEO matters to your company, you must get the Green Book. It's by Mike Moran, senior IBM engineer, third edition from IBM Press. It's a 600-page. It's an absolute technical resource for SEO, and I can guarantee the quality. I'm the technical editor of that book.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think you have some contact information here if anyone has any additional questions.
Talk to Candace, talk to me.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Andreas. Thank you to all of our listeners. We have really been having a good time here, and I am sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. Andreas just decided to have a party, so I'm glad that we're all invited. And this will end our recording for today, and I'll send an email with the link to the final recording and also to the 8-page guide. So thank you all very much for attending, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Bob. Goodbye, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.